What's good, YouTube? I am your host, R.S.J. of R.S.J. Creations. And like I had mentioned in my previous video, I am going to be sharing with you my top 5 regrets about art school. So for a quick recap, I went to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh from the summer of 2009 to the spring of 2011 when I dropped out. I began as a graphic design major, and then I switched to media arts and animation, which was my original field that I wanted to study. So in this video, like I said, I'm going to be counting down my top 5 regrets, starting from my least to my most regretted regrets. Yeah, because that makes, because words and sentence structure, yeah. So let's get into it. Number 5, I didn't finish art school. You probably weren't expecting me to come right out of the gate saying this, but it's true. Now, I don't regret not graduating because of some of the reasons you might be thinking. Sure, if I did graduate, I would have had a degree and the debt to go along with it. I would have had the potential for a job in my field, but I would have had to move to California where most of the animation type jobs are. Even though Cali looks nice, I wouldn't want to live there. I can ignore 3, maybe 4 homeless people asking me for money a day at best before I kind of feel bad enough to give some of my change out. And from what I hear, they have camps of homeless people out there, and I need my change. But those reasons aren't why I regret it. You see, I have a problem with finishing things, and there have been several occasions where I would start something with the intentions to commit to it, but I would never finish it like I initially wanted to. One of the last times I started something and didn't finish it was when I was studying Kung Fu at the age of 21. And you guessed it, I have yet to get my black belt. But in my defense, that one was because I just got out of a relationship, and instead of getting under a bunch of bodies, I decided to better myself, air quotes, with learning a martial arts to keep my mind off of the depressing post-breakup, syndrome-ness. Number 4, I didn't build relationships with my teachers for extra help. I was way more introverted back then, and the thought of building relationships with teachers sounded foreign to me. I had irrational self-image issues, and I didn't want to be perceived as a teacher's pet, nor did I want to burden the teachers if I simply couldn't get something right. I mean, we all have that feeling, when you're just not getting it and you feel stupid and you feel like you're being a burden to somebody who is trying to explain it to you and they've already dumbed it down a couple of levels and you're just like, I still don't get it. Yeah, that was going on with me. So, but yeah, I mean, I know how it sounds. I was very stupid back then. Thankfully, I didn't stay stupid. What has helped is I've listened to a lot of Eric Thomas's motivational speeches. If you don't know who he is, just type in Eric Thomas on YouTube. He has that famous you must want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe video. And he does mention this in one of his videos that you need to be the student that basically bugs your teacher all the time if you can't get something right. And I definitely should have been that student. Like my teacher should have been sick of me coming to them for the help and guidance that I needed. Eventually, I would stop once I got it, but you know what I'm saying. I never saw a single teacher during their office hours for additional help. And I struggled in silence on art projects when I could have simply sought out their guidance. I mean, come on, that's basically what I was paying them for. Number 3, I didn't take full advantage of the school's resources. As I mentioned in my pros video of going to art school, links for both the pros and cons videos will be in the description box below, I should have spent more time in the library reading books on my craft and studying different art styles to build my own. Plus, I had access to high-end film equipment that students simply just had to sign out for. Bruh, I could have been doing this YouTube shit on the cheap! All the computers at school had all the industry standard software like the Adobe Suite, 3ds Max and Maya, and so on and so forth. Now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't get as much bang for my buck back then. And whose fault is that? This guy's. Yep, I take full accountability. But the most valuable resource art school supplied me with was figure drawing classes. You learn a lot about the human body drawing it nude from life and observation. Now, it's a little harder to do such things. When I used to live in Atlanta, there was actually a figure drawing class offered to people who just, you pay $10 and that $10 goes to the model and you drew for 2 to 3 hours. But if you don't have that option, it's somewhat frowned upon to, ask your friends or strangers to pose nude while you draw them for an extended period of time. But there are plenty of other online resources that comes close to that, so you don't have to resort to such methods. Number 2, I didn't hang out with the right people. Though I met some dope people at AIP, and even to this day I'm still friends with a few of them, I should have spent more time with the students studying animation or who was just more focused on school. It's been said that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. From my college experience, I find this to be painfully true. Most of the people I hung out with didn't have the best study habits and, to be blunt, didn't have winning attitudes when it came to school or their craft, what they were going to school for. Partying, hooking up, and playing video games late into the night seemed to be more of a priority for a lot of them. Therefore, I got caught up in it, with the exception of hooking up, because I didn't start clapping cheeks until after college, but I'll get into that later. I understand, I'm not necessarily demonizing this behavior. College for most people is a place to let loose, discover things about yourself. And it was for me. You're definitely introduced to the weight of semi-adulthood in college, and that could be a lot of responsibility for someone going from high school into college like that. Letting loose is a great way to test the boundaries and add stripes to your character. But I realized, looking back, that I was just trying to fit in with a certain crowd of people who couldn't care less about me. Often, I was the butt of many jokes, and I stuck around these type of people because I had insecurities and a loser mindset. I wasn't comfortable being who I was, so I acted in ways to make other people more comfortable around me, thinking I was making friends. When in reality, I was making myself too available. I was making myself an easy target for jokes, and most importantly, I wasn't setting boundaries with people. Ultimately, I had no hard feelings toward any of my peers back then because we were all going through some developmental process during this time, and none of us were living quote unquote right. Therefore, I humbly reject the moral high ground. I was just going through life, living life, and now I know better. You have to go through these things so you can know what they are to avoid them in the future. What kept me from building relationships with the people in my major was that I thought they were too nerdy for me, or I thought I was too cool for them. Yeah, makes no sense, right? I was basically the pot calling the kettle black, or however that old saying goes. I criticized the geeky kids in the animation classes, but these kids were getting better grades than me and could draw way better than me. Ideally, I should have hung out with them so their influence could help make me a better artist. Additionally, I should have sought out upperclassmen for a mentorship. And who knows, I could have been better friends with them than some of the people I was associating with back then. Now, before I reveal my number 1 regret, I just want to remind you to hit the like button if you've made it this far and subscribe to my channel. If you like this type of content or other styles, please let me know in the comments below. It'll be a great help to me moving forward to know what my fan base likes. And I know you're the type of person who likes to help people out, so my thanks in advance. And now, without further ado, number 1. I spent way too much time chasing girls. I had just graduated from an all-boys Catholic high school in 2009, and I was 17 years old when I started college. And like most 17-year-old guys, I was a virgin. It seemed like everyone around me was talking about sex, hooking up, getting girls, and having girlfriends. I was toting around a fresh, unswiped V card, looking for opportunities to get it swiped, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, you should, because I'm not being very subtle over here. Though I did take my studies seriously enough, I was more eager to meet girls and indulge in the fornication Hollywood persuaded me to think college life would grant me. Eventually, I began talking to this girl from a computer lit class I took my first quarter. I'll refer to her as Cece, not to be confused with the green-haired alien chick from Code Geass. She was this cute, light-skinned, maybe black chick mixed with Puerto Rican, and I guess there was a lot of Native American thrown in there too. Basically, she was one of those racially ambiguous girls that get mad when you ask them, "What are you?" She looked more Hispanic than anything, to be honest. She had long black hair and piercing eyes that can see into your soul. Her voice was a little raspy because she smoked cigarettes, but it still sounded sweet to me. She had this hippie vibe that didn't do anything for me, but I wasn't too concerned about it. And she had a nice big pair of water balloons. I simped for this chick so hard that telling you what went down in detail could span the course of at least 50 videos. But for brevity, let's just say that I allowed her to be a huge distraction. Not just her. Yeah, I had a few other crushes that distracted me while I was in college. I wanted a girlfriend so bad because some of my peers also had girlfriends, plus being a virgin in college was something I kind of felt ashamed of. And it took me a long time to learn that there's no shame in it, especially being that young. But College Rich really couldn't accept this advice, no matter who it came from. Bruh, I could go back in time and I can mentor myself, tell myself this very same thing, and I still wouldn't listen to me. I barely listen to me now. So there you go. The time I spent with CC and other girls would have been much better spent practicing gesture drawings, doing hand studies, reading on the history of American animation, anything that would have helped me close the gap between the person I was and the person that I wanted to be to make my dreams come true. But that's not how the cookie crumbled. So here I am with these regrets. Now, hold up, wait a minute. I am not going to end on a depressing ass note like that. Though I didn't finish art school, I still learned many skills that I still use to this day. In fact, when I feel a little bummed out about not finishing art school, because it happens from time to time, I lean on the words of one of my old graphic design teachers, Mr. Wills. Now, I'm paraphrasing, but he says something along the lines of, even if you fail my class, if you manage to learn something, that's all that matters. I did, in fact, learn. I learned a lot about drawing, figure drawing, art, design, just the animation business, and a bunch of other things that escape my mind at the moment. And I met plenty of great people. Some of them I'm still in contact to this day, and if you guys are watching one of this, hey, I hope you're doing well. It's been a long time. At some point, hopefully, our paths cross again on this wild ride of life. And most importantly, I learned a lot about myself, and I was introduced to the world outside of my parents' shielding. Of course, we all have regrets, but I learned along the way that I needed to accept what had happened, be grateful that it happened, and be grateful how it happened. No one lives a perfect life. Enduring hardships, struggles, learning from lessons is what makes life so beautiful. Truthfully, I have no regrets because those experiences and the people connected to them are basically what helped carve me into the person that I am today. And I love myself. So I apologize for the clickbaity title. I'm trying to get views. I'm just starting out to this YouTube thing. Give me your views! Give me your like, subscribe, goddammit! But nah, I just wanted attention like a quarantine Hollywood celebrity. Final thoughts. Don't focus on the past. That is a winning strategy for a loser life. Be grateful for the things that have happened in your life. I don't mean to come off as being ungrateful because I know that there are plenty of people who would have sold their mother into slavery for a chance of going to art school. Thankfully, I didn't have to go through such extremes. Instead, accept the past. For the good and the bad, learn from both. Be grateful for both. And always seek to be your best self. And if you don't know who that is, take some time to find out. I guarantee you, you will like who you find along the way. Till next time, guys. Deuces.